Welcome to the Straight Red Car, where I said car. It's card. Straight Red Card. Where Brett and I are back from our break. Maybe I took too long of a break, Brett, because I can't even say the name of our show anymore.
Welcome to our very first show. new podcast.
It feels like it, almost. We were gone for what? Just 2 weeks. But
it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, it has. And so for those of you who were wondering where we were, and I did get a number of messages about that, we probably should have told you 2 weeks ago we were going to take a break. But we took a break basically to, watch the European Cup, and that was a lot of fun. It wasn't very surprising. England went out where they always go out and how they always go out.
Yeah.
And sadly, the only thing that I was personally disappointed in is I wanted to see a more of a Germany-Spain final, and of course we didn't get that. I thought that would have been really cool, but not apparently. The truth is that Italy outplayed Germany, and it is what it is.
That's, some people might disagree, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did. I thought they won that game fair and square. I'm sure Jogi Löw is going to stick around. He's not going anywhere. I don't think the Germans are going to get rid of him because of this. Although they were really touted as, the only team that could really beat or had a chance to beat Spain. And, unless you're a big Portugal lover, and some people thought Portugal could take them to the brink, and they did. But they just didn't win.
Yeah. I thought the scoreline in the final, obviously the Italian team was just a bit worn down by the end of the match, being a man down for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Italy had their chances to score, just couldn't capitalize. Spanish goalkeeper came up big time, and Spain put away their chances.
Yeah.
Put it away pretty big, too.
Well,
so, Spain was the better team of the day, and they deserved the win. But I thought Italy did okay for most part. Just Spain just dominated.
Well,
if
you're Prandelli, though, in some ways, I think you made some mistakes. Right after halftime, you start using up all your subs, which means maybe you didn't start the right team at the beginning of the game to begin with. That's the only thing I would say. And then, a guy goes down with an injury pretty early in the second half, and you play, you have to play with 10 men. To me, it's just a lack of foresight there.
Yeah, no, that's the big thing. You never want to use up all your subs so early in the match, and that's what we saw. And it in the end, it worked against them. Take that injury away, who knows what the final would be like? Because, at the beginning of that second half, Italy came out guns blazing. They had several opportunities, just couldn't put it away.
Right.
They went down a man, and by the end of the game, the Spaniards' possession game just simply wore Italy down.
Yeah, when you have 10 guys and you're playing against that kind of possession game.
If you have 11 guys and you're playing against them, it's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so then, the other news, ringing through everyone's ears right now is, of course, that Bradley is probably, there's about an 80% chance.
It's higher than 80.
Well, it could be. It could be. I like to be optimistic.
It's a done deal.
You think it's a done deal?
It's a done deal.
All right, so Michael Bradley's going to Roma. That's what Brett's saying. And I'm saying, yeah. If you flipped a coin, it would have to have several sides that said yes. You can't do that, obviously. But if you could flip a multi-sided coin, then the majority of those would probably fall on Bradley ending up in Roma, although there are other suitors, of course. There were, Fiorentina was after him. Supposedly Inter were, Juventus. Monaco, Palermo. There were a lot of people who were interested, but this seems like a really good fit for him. Of course, there are people who actually complain about this. I think you brought it up earlier.
They questioned the whether or not it was going to be an upgrade from Cavo, simply because of the rankings. Roma finished, I think, 7th.
Yep.
And some people were questioning whether or not, he's going to a team that's really going to be able to contend.
Ridiculous.
In all honesty, since 2003, Roma's finished 2nd 5 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a team that has its ups and downs, but more often than not, it's a contender. I mean, they finished 7th this season. It doesn't have to worry about Europe or Champions League next year, so they're going to be refreshed. They're going to be fresh most of the season. And I think this is a good move. This is a solid move. He'll see a lot of playing time, and again, he stands a chance to see European play with Roma.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, comparing Chievo, who, had an outstanding season for them and finished 11th.
They overachieved.
I mean, they totally overachieved.
Yes.
They did, and that's why Bradley is being sought out, because they did overachieve, and he's one of the major reasons they did.
And then, he was always one of their top players, rated by the fans and rated by the media. Yeah. Always their top players.
Yeah, exactly. And, but let's not kid ourselves as well. One of the reasons I think Roma is going so hard after Bradley is that Thomas Di Benedetto, who is from Boston, he's part owner of the team, and he has made no qualms about the fact that he wants an American player in playing at Roma. And but that's not the only reason. But it helps. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I think that definitely does help. I mean, he's made it known over the years that he wants an American player. He's been rumored that he was going to get Dempsey, rumored that he was going to get Donovan. I mean, the fact that Bradley is playing so well in Serie A that it just worked in his favor.
Yeah.
He was able to get him, in all honesty, he was able, I think it was like, 3.2 million euro?
Yeah, that was pretty cheap. 3.5.
Relatively cheap for a potential starting midfielder that's done so well in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, Roma's going to have to is also giving up another center midfielder back to Chievo. Which, here's my question: how does that work out? Because I know Mönchengladbach. I know that they have a sell clause. So if Chievo were to sell Michael Bradley, they would get a percentage of it. My question is Chievo is selling him for the 3.5 million euro, plus they're getting a midfielder. How does that equate how does that add in there? Because otherwise Roma was going to have to fork over a lot more money if they didn't trade the extra player, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Well, but this is now München's not going to get as much money as they would if they didn't have the player.
Well, it's always super twisted, the language in those contracts. So we'll have to kind of see how that pans out once it actually goes through. And the news is it is going to go through. And don't kid yourself. Roma are a top and have been one of the top teams in Serie A for numbers and numbers of years. They've always competed. So they finished 7th last year. It was an off year for him. The best part about it
is that he's going to a team that stands a chance to play Champions League or Europa in years to come.
Yep.
But he's not going to get lost in debt.
I don't think so. I think he'll play.
To like Juventus or AC Milan, it's possible that he might not play as much. He might not start. He might not even come off the bench that much.
Yeah. Well, I think
here, he stands to be a star for a quality team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if he went to Fiorentina, I think if he went to Palermo, I think he'd be playing and starting usually. And this one's kind of on the edge for me. I think that he'll have to work himself in the team, but I think he will, and I think he'll play quite a bit.
He's gone.
Yeah. So, but then you come to Clint Dempsey, and over the years, we've heard, okay, Everton, they're planning on making a move for him, and then of course when Hodgson was at Liverpool, oh for sure Hodgson's going to go and grab Dempsey and scoop him up, but instead, of course, Liverpool signed a bunch of English players. So the question is now that the rumors are that Arsenal is really, knocking at the door hard. But if you really look at the amount of confirmed reports, the number of reports that say this deal is really, solid, it's gonna it isn't solid. It isn't solid. It's kind of like, the mystical, foggy. We really don't know what's really going on here. We know what Dempsey wants to do. We know he wants to play on a Champions League team, but we really don't have enough information right now to say this Arsenal deal is really going to happen. Although I think a lot of Arsenal fans want it to happen, at least the ones I've talked to.
Well, and I liked his agent statement where he's like, we're gonna if we have to choose, we're gonna choose Arsenal over the Man U's or the Chelsea's because of guaranteed playing time. Yeah. And I think that's a really big statement to say. 'Cause, I mean, Dempsey going to Arsenal doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get guaranteed playing time.
There's no such
He's still
thing.
going to have to fight his way onto that team, and at that point, once he gets on it, it's not like Fulham. Once he's on the team, he's going to have to consistently play well, or he might find himself sitting on the bench.
Right, or coming off the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably more likely. But, with all the things going on at Arsenal right now, it's possible there might be a wing open for him. There might even be a forward spot open for him next to Van Persie.
More likely than, say, Man U or Chelsea.
Right. Well, because Walcott might be going. And, if Walcott goes and then, Arshavin goes, that opens things up. And although Arshavin, I guess Zenit doesn't want anything to do with him either. So it's wide open right now. But one thing is that Arsene Wenger will give him a fair shot. He's always, been very publicly positive about American players and the development of the game in the United States. And I don't think anybody that's watched Dempsey play over the last number of years thinks that this guy can't play on a team like that. And I think really, honestly, I think he would have done a better, and I've mentioned this before, better job than Andy Carroll did at Liverpool. So, I think I'd like to see it happen, but we're not seeing the evidence yet of this deal really coming through.